Okay, Todd here, and welcome to another Acme Machining. What we've got going on today is we're going to be working on the tailstock of the lathe here. Now, what's been going on with this, and it's done it since new, is I bring the lock up, and as I'm feeding the drill bit, or if I've got something sitting on the live center, the tailstock base will walk away. Okay, so I can't sit there and accurately measure how deep I'm drilling or securely hold something with a live center. So I've taken the shoe off the bottom and I've cleaned up, remachined the edges because they didn't have a good finish, and I took a look at that and it didn't help a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart, and I want to put another shoe in underneath and have it that I tighten it up with a wrench. So don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. I may even be able to change the pivot point on the lock to give it more pressure. Don't know. Going to take it apart, going to find out, folks. So I'm going to pull this off the lathe. All I have to do is remove the stop screw, and right off the end it'll go. So, of course, the stop screw's there, so it doesn't go right off the end. It stops. So, I'm going to get this off. We're going to throw it over on the bench, and we'll take a closer look at this tailstock and see what we can do. So, let's have some fun. Okay, just so you have an idea of how this works. It sits in the bed of the lathe, and when you bring your lock bar up, it moves this shoe in. Doesn't move it in a whole lot. Actually, it moves it in more than it should, really. Because the thing is, if I got it so it moved less, I would have a more leverage ramp working on this. So it would actually hold it with more force. So I am just going to tear this apart here, and like I said earlier, I did clean up these surfaces because it was just a rough casting like this. So I cleaned these up hoping that it would grip better, but that didn't. It worked a little bit, but it wasn't the answer. So we've got to find out how we can do this, and we'll take her from there. So we'll get this apart here. So I'm just going to grab a few tools, and we'll be right back. This tailstock is just held. It's held onto the bed through that through bolt that goes through the bottom. So there's nothing holding it down other than this locking bolt. Okay, as I showed you in the previous few minutes there. Now to adjust it, you've got a fore and aft. There's one here, one on the other side, and you've also got a bolt or set screw in the end here to hold it all together. So I've loosened off this one. Now I haven't touched the other one, because if you just loosen off one, when it goes to put it back together, you get yourself into where you need to be pretty quickly. So just by opening that up, you can see how it adjusts the fore and aft to center your tailstock with the head of your machine. So, and we will definitely do that after we get to the end of this video. We'll do a headstock, or not a headstock alignment. I've already got a video on that, but we'll do a tailstock alignment. But one thing I am looking at is I could pull this assembly out and maybe put a different swing on it, because it moves about 1/8 of an inch there. But I'm going to pull it out and See what it looks like here. And it looks like it's just held in by a spring pin. Just gonna grab my center punches here. And there's our pin. And this one is just an offset bushing. So that bushing, when it turns around, it's got less clearance here and more clearance here. So what we could do, and this may be the easiest thing, is let's try to keep the operation simple, because otherwise I would have to open up a pocket here for a wrench and put a bolt through there. And but if I can just make this bushing over, and let's cut that offset in half this time, and see how that acts. It might be one of these things where I try it for a day or two, a month, a year, whatever. But I think that's going to be our first step right there, is to do that. Okay, I went digging through my scraps. Found a perfect piece. How lucky is that? So I've got to turn that down just a little bit. Oops, right, get you in frame here. And turn that down just a little bit so it slides in there. And rather than offsetting this in the 4-jaw chuck to do that hole, I'm just going to take it over to the mill, center up on this piece of the DRO, and I'll measure how far that offset is. And I'm going to take away half of that offset off of this one. Oh, sorry. I'm looking in the monitor and it's like a mirror, everything's backwards. So I'm going to measure off this offset, and I'm going to give it half of what it's offset. So that there should double up on the leverage that I have with this, because that thing drops down about 1/8 of an inch. And I don't need it to drop down 1/8 of an inch, because what it's doing is it's dropping down, this here's dropping down, so it releases and it's picking up 1/8 of an inch, and it doesn't. It just needs to barely move because it's machine polished surfaces, and they're nice and clean and smooth, and there's even some oil involved, but I can't get rid of the oil because you want to keep oil in your ways, but don't want things to rust up. But yeah, so I'm going to cut this small enough to go in there. Just going to quick turning job on the lathe, and then we'll put that in the Kurt vise and find the center and drill / bore a hole and put a pin in it so we can put it on the handle and get it back together, and we'll see. Time's the best judge. It'll tell us if this works going down the road. If we need to do a plan B, well, then we'll come up with a plan B, but for right now all we're going to do is one of these. Now I got that piece of stock in the truck here, and I'm just going to come over with my bump it in tool Make sure that's centered up as best as can be. What that is that's a tie rod end off a Dodge truck. So, good source of cheap metal for me. Because Dodges go through front end parts like quick cleanup pass here. Haven't even measured it yet, so I just know it's too big, so. And I can't measure it because it's just scrap metal from a tie rod end, like I said, so it's not round. It's about 90% round, so. Did a quick measurement, and we've got to take 19 thou off of that, so. I am just going to do that in a couple cuts. I'm not in a hurry. So we'll dial in 5. That'll give us a 10 thou cut. Got nice clean metal there. Hopefully that's a good point of view for you guys. Probably noisy as heck right there next to the headstock. Okay, we'll just dial that in and take the rest of it. I'm looking at getting a wireless mic so I can have it just under my chin and not be trying to holler at the camera all the time, and maybe some noise levels will get down. But just need to get a few more views and a few more subscribers going here, and put a few more dollars in the YouTube slush fund. So. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Now that fits nice there. Now, you guys can't see it from there, but there you can. Now, there's the original surface. That divot that's right in there that you can see, that there is actually where the bolt goes to lock the tie rod sleeve in. But all I need is this much of that. That's more than enough. So this other piece is 34.5 millimeters or 1.360 long, and Hey, I'm not worried about how big it is over this side. Doesn't matter to me at all. So I don't need to turn it around in the truck and try to equal that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around in the truck and I'm just going to bring it down to length. So. Now, before I turn that around, I just got to face the end off here. So. I'll flip that around in the truck and then I'll be able to get a measurement with the verniers and we'll trim her down to size. And I'm excited to see how this works. So that's been my one pet peeve with this lathe is the tailstock always wants to slip, but we're going to overcome, guys. Getting a little bit of harmonics there because I'm rubbing the side of that carbide. But we got her done. So. I am going to take and do a cleanup pass on that. Just because it'll look better. One thing I can do is I can turn this in and try to clean up that parting, not the parting line, but that line, because it's good practice for when I need to do it. That back into where we were on the other one and see how it goes. You know what, folks? I can barely see it. I can barely feel it. So now I got to bring this down to 1.360. Mark that down on my paper there for the heck of it. So I'm at 4 thou over, 2.5 thou over, depending on, don't have an even surface there, it's just saw cut. But I'm about 1.5 inches, so we're just going to start taking some cuts, and so we had that making a little bit of racket because what it was doing is it was rubbing the side of the tool there because this here was perpendicular to the work, so it was going in right at the 90 degrees and it would rub back here. So give that just a little bit of a turn there. Come in with fine zero. Back it off. And I'm just going to give it a cut and see how it goes. That there should have been about a 50 thou cut, so. We'll just take our time, we'll get there. Move in for another 50 before I take it. I'm going to measure it off. So, yeah. So, we'll get there, folks. I will bring you back when we get on the final cut. We're coming in to finish the final cut here. Get this down the length we need. And there we go. There we are, folks, within half a thou. So I took measurements on this, and I figured out that the offset between the front and the rear is 0.85, 0.085, okay? Now what I did is I measured this here, which was approximately 1.50, and this here was approximately 0.310, and if you look at, I know this isn't 100% centered, okay, I just set it there just to look at things for you. Now, when you do the math of it's a 5/8 hole in here, it's 1.1 inches, so that there left me with, I think, 0.288 on this side and 0.288 on that side, okay? Now, when you offset that 85 thousandths of an inch, you get that offset going on. Now I said what I want to do is I want to try, and I wasn't sure of the math, so what I did is I centered this up with my edge finder. That got me dead center in the part. Then I put a 5/8 drill bit in there, and that 5/8 drill bit is right down there, and I am reading 0.0856. So I figured I was around 85. 6/10 thousandths of an inch isn't going to make any difference in this. But what I want to do, folks, is I want to go half of that. So I'm going to go half of my 85. So I'm just going to take this out. And I'm going to show you how I set the mill up here. Just because this here is a little bit different. Now, you always like to be working in the middle of your mill vise, okay? Because the screw rod is in the middle. If you put it off of one side, it likes to do this a little bit, okay? This is a new Kurt vise, very high quality vise, but it's still, you can put some wear on things by having it cockeyed, and it'll loosen up over time if you keep abusing it. So I don't want to keep abusing it. So what I've got is I can't set my, well I can because there's a support in there, but not all vices are the same. So what I do is I take a parallel and I just lay it in there. Okay? Now, I can't take and just drop that in there because when I drill through, I'm drilling holes into my bottom of the vise. So I need some clearance. So again, a parallel. Okay? I'm going to keep one up close to the V-block. I'm going to bring another one in here, like so. Now, I am going to set this in. And tighten it up. Now, I've got 3 points of contact in here because it's a circle. Okay, so you got 2 contacts on the V-block, the third one right here. Okay, now I don't want to be drilling into my parallels, so I get them out of there. Come up on the table a little bit here. And we are going to find our center. So we've got a different piece in there, and it wasn't positively supported. So we're finding center again. Gets friction, it picks out. Zero it. Up. Over to the other side. As soon as it kicks out, I'm going to try to zoom you folks in here. Got wobble on it. As I wind it in, the wobble goes away. Now what I'm counting on is how much friction, not the eyeball on how much wobble's there. There, enough friction just to take it off to one side. So, X, half. Enter. I always hit enter. Don't know if I need to, but I do. I'm going to bring it back. Get it on 0. Bring Y in. Same thing. Bring it in. There. Y0. But Y, 0. never reach where I need to be with this here starting bit, center bit. Okay, that's dead zero. Just 1 second, folks. And try to give you guys a better focus. Okay, I don't want it to be dead zero. I said I was going in 80 or half of 85.6, so half of 86, 43. Now that really looks like nothing. Looking at that, I wouldn't think we're achieving anything at all. But I know this is just ½ inch, it's not 5/8, but there, you guys can see the difference right now. Difference between the thin side and the thick side. I'm shooting for half the cam lift that I had on the other one. Just because we're talking about a lever. And this is all an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. That's why it's called an experiment. Also going to give it a little bit of juice. I like to break my chips as soon as they start coming up. All you got to do is come up on the drill bit, and that'll stop the cutting process and break your chip. So. Now I'm just going to step this up a few times. I'm not in a hurry for Murphy to show up and ruin the day. 50 RPM, we got it in back here. You know, by taking more steps on your drills, it's a lot easier on your drills. So you'll be spending less time sharpening them. We're starting to see that offset coming in here. As the hole gets bigger, it gets more visible. Need to go a little bit more. See if I got how big the next size drill bit is, and or we'll get the boring head out. Check the drill bit status and the size of the bore that we need, and our next drill bit is going to be 15 thousandths of an inch bigger. So we're going to the boring head. So with the boring head, we want to engage our power feed. Okay. Now I've got the mill in neutral, and I'm just going to bring you in here. Now, feed this out until I'm just touching, because I only need a few thou here. Don't need anything big at all going on here. This is reading 3 thou bigger than where I was at, so I don't need much, but it's not going to be a 3 thou interference fit either. So I'm going to bring this down and lock the quill in. I'm going to walk this out just until it wants to touch. And I'm just going to bring it up, set it in high, get things turning. Sorry for getting in your way, but a little bit of speed here. Okay, first I am on 0.628 on the shaft. And that should give me what I need. Nice, snug fit. I love it. You know, because this is reading 228, 229-ish, and 5/8 is 625, so I only need it 3 or 4 thou off of that, because a drill bit doesn't drill a perfect hole anyway. So. But there, that part is done. Got you guys out of frame there, but there's that. It actually holds itself. You got to push it down in. So, gonna get switched back over to the drill bit because now we got to put our pinhole in, and we'll bring you back. Okay, folks. Now, before I took the work out, the hole in this here unit is, there's the thin spot, there's the hole. So I took and I put a little Sharpie mark, get that out of your way, a little Sharpie mark right here on the thin side. Okay? And that's that little divot that was for the bolt holding the pinch bolt or the pinch clamp on the tie rod in. It's not going to matter. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm never going to see it again. Okay, so I am just going to, oh, actually, going to leave you guys running here. Just going to move you sideways here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I'm just going to wipe things down here. Just give me a second. Okay, just laying a parallel on the bottom there again. Actually, it's not going to hurt to lay a couple of them in there. Just to hold the V-block. Okay, I've got to be careful. I just sprayed this to brake clean. So I don't want to wipe that dot off, but I am just setting this in here, and keeping the dot to the top. Yes, you folks can see that. Go back to the edge finder. A few things we got to do here, folks. We got to find the center of this. Okay. Now, y-axis isn't going to be a problem. The x-axis, what we're going to do is we're going to come in. We're going to find the front jaw, and then we're going to take 50% of our center finder and 50% of our stock, and that's going to put us dead nut center there. So lining in. There's my friction point. Why 0? Check it again. Just to be sure, I was off by 1/10,000 of an inch. Now, we have 1/2 inch center finder. So, that's 500, half 500 is 250. So, I go ahead 250. See what I'm looking for here in just a second as I get it and zero it. Right now, I am dead center over the front edge of the job. Okay? I'm dead center. I'm zeroed up on this. Okay? So I zero that. Now I have 1.1. So that there is 550. So now I go the other way, 550. So I went 250 to get my 0. And I zeroed the y-axis on the DRO. And I go 550. That puts me right dead over my part now. So I'm dead on there. So zero the Y. Y is done. I'm going to come down. And I don't need to know where the center of this is. I just need to know where the end of it is. Zeroed that. And they come in my 250. And I zero that. Now, just to prove a point, let's put a point in there. I am right on the edge. I'm right on the edge of the part, and I'm in the center of the part. Okay? I'm going to raise that up just a little bit. Where is my original one? Now, okay, I got you in there. Now all I need to do is from the edge of this one to the eyeball center of the hole is 351. 350. Okay? So now I come in 350. Let's drill a hole. size hole do we need? 198. Okay, number 8. Or what is that in metric? 5mm hole, metric. It is made in Taiwan. Bit of oil on the inside there, folks. I'm just looking in the hole to see how I'm doing in there. We're through. Okay, folks, I'm just going to break this all down and clean it up and get you over to the bench. Okay, folks, imagine that. Made something good out of an old junky Dodge part. I'm a Chevy guy, so I can say that. Okay, now, this here needs to be set in the right orientation. So, when the handle is up, the cam is pointing towards the top. So there is a hole there. So I'm going to start my pin. I'm going to pull this out. Walk that in there. Oh, we almost messed up, folks. You know what we're forgetting? I say we because you're here too. We need the rod to be part of this equation now. So, sorry I'm in your way, but so there's what I've got. I've got the pin started, and I've got the piece that rides on the cam. Just trying to keep everything out of the way because I've got to do some tappy-tappy with the hammer on the pin. Pin is just passed flush on both ends. Just going to wipe this off. Now this video is probably long enough right now. Now when they make these, no real got to be a perfect casting. I don't know if you can see right here. See if I can zoom in. See the body filler they use to give you a nice surface? Well, nicer surface. So, could be a lot nicer. And this here is what does your lining up. So, this one just keeps pressure on these up against here. And these two right here are your fore and aft. And like I said, I only loosened one side for a reason. I haven't moved this one. So by tightening up the other one, it should be right back where it was. Yes, I have to zero. I'm not going to do it in this video. I am going to do it tomorrow, and that'll be the next video. Folks, there it is in all its glory. Now, when I put that down and look in through there, I've only got about 1/16 of an inch of that saddle sitting down underneath. That saddle sits down underneath here. So when I bring the lever down, it sets the saddle down. So it's dropping about 1/16 of an inch. And when I bring it up, it feels good. The other one felt good too. So that's not the test. Okay? Next video. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm going to zero in this tailstock, and we're going to try to push a little harder. And I'm hoping that I can put a little Sharpie mark back there and it doesn't push it, because that's what it was doing. As I was turning the handle, it was creeping back. So you want to be able to lock that and do your job, because one thing I do want to do is I want to put a vernier up on here. I'm going to take one of my older verniers. Oops, excuse me. Get you back up here. I'm going to take a vernier and I'm going to put it on here so I can digitally see how far I'm going. But that doesn't work if when you're going, all you're doing is pushing this backwards. This reading ain't going to work, because what's it referenced off? It's referenced off here. And it's not locked to the bottom. So hopefully we got that taken care of. We're going to find out, and that's going to be the next video. But like I said, like and subscribe. I've got a couple more things I want to do to this. We're going to make sure that its tailstock's aligned, and we are going to make sure that it doesn't push back. So thank you, folks. Have a nice day.